Hello, students of Alan American School. How are you, grade 7? I miss you all so much. Let's start with our lesson of week 5. Last week, we started up with waves. Today, we are going to continue the same topic and we are going to move further about the topic. So let's see. Okay, now you can open the page 16 of your book. But let's discuss the objective first. I will describe wave by its amplitude, wavelength, and frequency. I will calculate the frequency and wavelength. By the end of the lesson, students will be successful if you are able to describe wave by its amplitude, wavelength, and frequency, and if you are able to calculate the frequency and wavelength. Let's move ahead. Okay, beautiful flag of UAE. 4 beautiful colors, red, green, white, and black. We all are familiar with this beautiful flag. But I can see the flag flying in the sky. Exactly, and the flag is also in a shape of waves. See how I connected the lesson with the flag? Now, in the previous lesson, what you discovered about the waves? I remember I told you how to draw a wave diagram. Do you remember it? Can you draw it on your paper right now? Okay, if you don't remember, I will show you the answer. But I'm sure few of you must remember it. Okay, now, this is how we draw the wave. And this is called the wave diagram. It goes zigzag up and down. Now, our objective today is that we are going to study the parts and properties of wave. Now, look at the picture. When we draw a wave, it goes up and down. The upper part of the wave is called crest, or the highest part on the wave. Similarly, the waves go down. So, the trough is the lowest point or lowest part of the wave. Now, let's discuss some properties of the waves. First property of the wave is the wavelength. Now, look at the diagrams over here. The wavelength starts from first crest to the second crest. This is called one wavelength. That means the distance between a crust to another crust. Or in the other picture, you can see the distance between the trough to another trough. The second property of the wave is from the center, if you draw a line to the maximum point of the wave, this is called the amplitude. Okay, now the amplitude is the peak, is the toppest or the lowest most point starting from the middle of the wave. Now we start from here and go up like this. Similarly, we start from here and go at the bottom like this till the maximum point. So amplitude is the peak, whether the peak is up or whether the peak is down. Now, this is a picture of an ocean wave, which is an example of a mechanical wave. Now, the trough is the bottom part, the crest is the top part, and wavelength means the distance from one crest to another crest. And From the center of the wave, if I go up, that is called the amplitude. Now, one simple activity. Now, draw a line in between first. Then, draw these two dotted lines. And draw a wave starting from the undisturbed position, going up to the blue dotted line, coming back again to the undisturbed position, going down to the dotted line, and similarly you continue drawing the wave. You have few seconds. I hope you are done. Let's see. This is how I ask you to draw a wave, starting from the center black line, going up, then coming back, then going down, and this is how you were supposed to draw the wave. Now, you have a top part and you have a bottom part of the wave. Similarly, from the black line to the blue dotted line, you go up straight. Similarly, from the black line to the blue dotted line, you go at the bottom. Now, my question is that you have to label. Find where is the amplitude in this wave diagram. Where is the wavelength? Where is crest? Where is trough? I will give you 10 seconds to label this diagram. Okay, I'm sure you have labeled. Let's move. You can check your answers now. Oh, there are some hints. If you have not done, you can just check the hints, the starting alphabet. Okay. So, starting from the first point till here, it's called the wavelength. Similarly, at the bottom. Then the top part is called the peak or the crest. The bottom part is called the trough. And from the center to the highest point or the peak is called amplitude. Similarly, from the center to the bottom trough is called the amplitude. Now, fill in the missing words. Choose either amplitude or wavelength. Read the statements. I'm giving you few seconds for this. Then I will show you the answers. The dash of a wave is the maximum displacement of a point on a wave away from its undisturbed position. What will come over here? The dash of a wave is the distance from the point on one wave to the equivalent point on the adjacent wave. Where do you think will the amplitude come and where do you think the wavelength will come? Amplitude is the maximum displacement of a point on the wave. And wavelength is the distance from one point equal to the other point. Let's move further. Now, I am showing you a diagram. Now, describe the picture. Now, I will give you a hint. This is amplitude. This is amplitude. This is amplitude. This is amplitude. Now, look at the pictures carefully. Where do you think is amplitude higher or lower? Over here in the first picture, the amplitude is low. Can you see? The distance is small. This is the amplitude. The distance is small. And what is frequency? Can you see the number of waves? Now, how many waves? 1, 2, 2 waves. So, It has low frequency because you can see it is very clear over here that the frequency is low. Now look at the second diagram. What about the amplitude and what about the frequency? Can you see how many waves are here? One. From this point till this point, one. From this point till this point, two. From this point till this point, three. And over here, only one wave. Over here, three waves. The number of waves, number of vibrations. Over here, only two waves. But look over here, the height is more. Over here, so many waves, but the height is also more. So how do we describe? I have given you one hint. Let's see. Low amplitude because the distance from the center to the crust or the trough is low. High frequency, as I told you, one vibration, two vibration, three vibrations. High amplitude because you can see the distance now is more. And low frequency because only one vibration. And number 4 is high amplitude and high frequency. Now, the frequency of a wave is the number of waves passing a point each second. So, in 1 second, how many waves are passing? That is called the frequency. And what is the time period or the period for the wave? It is the time taken for the wave for one complete vibration or one complete wavelength. Now, how do we write? How do we calculate frequency and how do we calculate the period? Now, if you know the time for the wave, you can just simply divide with the frequency. For example, if there are 20 waves in 1 second, what is the time of the wave? So you have to calculate the time. So look at the formula here. You have the 20 waves in 1 second. 20 waves in 1 second is the frequency. So 1 divided by 20 is 0.05 seconds. Now, you can refer your book, page number 23. Now, we know how to calculate the speed. Speed is the distance traveled in the time. So, the speed of wave should be the wavelength divided by the time. And how to calculate the time? 1 divided by the frequency. So, we will get the formula. So, speed of the wave is calculated by the formula frequency. If you know the frequency, then you multiply it with the wavelength. Now I have a question. Open your book to page number 23. The formulas are written on the book also. Now you have questions. I will read the questions. You take out your book, you take out a calculator, and you can solve the questions. A water wave has a frequency of 2 Hertz. So you have the frequency and the wavelength of 0.3 meters. How fast is it moving? That means over here you have to calculate the speed. You have to calculate the wave speed. So to calculate the wave speed, you have formula in the book. You multiply frequency and wavelength. So you have the wavelength 0.3 meter. You have the frequency 2 Hertz. You can use your calculator and do it. Now, question number 2. A water wave travels through a pond with the speed of 1 meter per second. Now, this is the speed and they have given you a frequency of 5 Hertz. In this question, you have to calculate what is the wavelength of the wave. Look into your book, page 23. To calculate the wavelength, you have to divide the wave speed with the frequency. And question number 3. The speed of sound, now they are giving you the speed, is 330 meters per second in air. And they have given you frequency 660 times in 1 second. So what is the wavelength? Let's check the answer. Answer for number 1 is 0.6 meter per second. Number 2 is 0.2 meters, the wavelength, and then 0.5 meters. Let's move ahead. Now, I am giving you a little homework. First of all, you read the pages from the book. Page number 18, 19, and 23. Now, there is a question in the book on page number 23, question number 15. It is about to calculate the wave speed, frequency, and wavelength. The formulas are written on the same page. I want you all to submit your work to me. Okay, let's wind up. Let's finish our lesson. Let's sum up. What have you understand? T stands for time period, true or false? Time period can be calculated by the formula 1 upon f, or it can be arranged in the other way, f is equals to 1 upon t. Frequency is the distance from one peak to the next. Frequency is measured in joules. If the frequency increases, the wavelength decreases. The amplitude is the height of the wave. You have few seconds to put true or false. Okay, let me share the answers with you. T stands for time period. True. Exactly, number 2 is also true. No, frequency is the distance from one peak to another peak. No, it is the wavelength, the distance from one crest to another crest, or one trough to another trough. Frequency is measured in joules. False, it is measured in hertz. If the frequency is more, the wavelength will decrease. True. The amplitude is also called the height of the wave. False. The amplitude of the wave is the maximum displacement from the point on a wave from its undisturbed position. So, what do you understand today? Are you happy because you understand the lesson completely? Or you're just okay because you missed some parts and you are not clear with some parts? Or you are feeling very bad because you have not understood anything? Tell me your feedback. Thank you very much, my dear students. I have given you homework to solve some questions which are in the book. Please submit me your answers. You can email me or you can submit your answers through ClassDojo by maximum 23rd of the April. Thank you, dear students. Take care. Have a nice day. Enjoy yourself. Keep studying. Keep smiling. And take care of yourself. Bye.